MXTV is proudly brought to you by Peter Stevens Motorcycles, QBE Insurance, Motorcycle Insurance Specialists, Fox, and Honda, the power of dreams.
Hello everyone, I'm Brendan Bell and welcome to MXTV, and of course joining me is former Australian Supercross and Motocross star Lee Hagan. Lee, welcome buddy.
Thanks mate, it's great to be here because tonight we have got a massive night on MXTV. Belly and Robbo will be taking us through all the action at this year's 4-day event. We catch up with four-time World MX champion Joel Smets to find out why he's turned his hand to Enduro. Chad Talbot gives us the lowdown on spark plugs and the first of his mechanical tips for the year. And we take a look at the 2008 Condo 750. Now you certainly wouldn't want to miss it if you're an Enduro fan, would you Belly?
That's right Lee, but not just Enduro fans, because remember Joel Smets is one of the toughest MX racers going around. And as you mentioned, I caught up with him to find out why he jumped onto an Enduro bike. Well, we're lucky enough today to be joined by a man that's won 5 World Motocross Championships and 3 Motocross of Nation titles. He's regarded as the toughest man in motocross. Of course, it's Joel Smets. Joel, welcome to MXTV.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Now, let's go back to the start of your career, because amazingly, you bought a YZ 490 in 1985. It's like a K or something. Why did you come about getting a 490?
I didn't buy it because I couldn't afford it to buy it. I was still going to school. My parents couldn't afford it. I got it actually from my uncle. So he raced it for fun on amateur level in 85. And I got it from him at the end of 85. And he said, hey, I have my business, don't have time to race it. Well, you ride it, you maintain it, and okay, we've fun together. Yeah, at 17, I hopped on that bike, started training, and my results went so well that yeah, it all took off from there. And my uncle was my first sponsor, let's say. He bought me another bike the year after, and so yeah, it went really quick from there.
Just tell the viewers out there just how big motocross is in Belgium, because I don't think we really understand how big it is.
It's a mainstream sport. It's, let's say, soccer and cycling are the #1 sports. But with motocross, we are really close behind on the same or on a better level even. It's like basketball, volleyball, tennis, all these type of sports. Even, yeah, Formula 1 is big as well when there is a race on, but we have no Formula 1 riders or anything like that. So even car racing is less known as motocross actually is. So that's really good for us. And I think one of the reasons is that we are really central in Europe, and a lot of the teams that compete in the World Championship are based in Belgium.
What's a typical track in Belgium? Is it sand, hard packed?
Yeah, well, I'm happy with the question, because that's also another advantage what we have in Belgium. We are actually a small country. It's only from north to south and from east to west, it's only 200 kilometers. We actually have all type of tracks. Whatever we have to ride on in the World Championship, whether we go to Northern Europe, South, we go to Japan, we go to the US, we will always find on this small spot called Belgium, we will always find a track somewhere with pretty much the same soil.
For the fans out there, mate, what's the biggest difference that you've found from being a top-level motocross world champion and now walking into the World Enduro Championships? What's been the biggest change?
Well, the biggest difference is, of course, or at least for me, was that in motocross I was used to focus for 110% for 2 times 45 minutes. While in Enduro, it's you can't just lose the focus all day. Even on the transport stages, you can't lose the focus, because often the trails are not that easy. It's not that you're going flat out all the time, but the fact that you're not going flat out all the time makes it easy to lose the focus. I'm having a lot of fun out there. The only thing what I'm missing is the bar-to-bar duels, and the start with the gate. But really, yeah, that adrenaline from taking the start is different from if you take the start in a special test. It's just you by yourself. That's different. That I'm missing a little bit. But on the other hand, I'm really enjoying the transport stages. Because there, it's not on the limit, and you can really enjoy. You can pay attention to your technique, and you have more time actually to enjoy the riding. There's less pressure.
Joel, look, it's been fantastic talking to you. Thank you very much for joining us.
All right, thank you very much. See you out there, guys.
Yes, thanks to Joel Smets there, a true motocross champion. And another motocross champion that takes us through our rider tips week in, week out is of course Lee Hogan. So let's go and see what he's got for us this week.
In the first rider tip for 2008, we're going to take a look at grips and a couple of little modifications that you can do to them that'll make a world of difference. Now, most people are of the opinion that as soon as you buy your motorcycle off the showroom floor, one of the first things you have to do is throw away them grips. Well, it's not necessarily the case. We're going to go through a couple of different modifications you can do to these things, make them quite a bit better and customise them, not only for the size of your hands, but for your riding style as well. Now, there's only a couple of things you need to do this, and most of you have got them in your own garage. First of all, a nice sharp Stanley knife, and second of all, a strip of sandpaper. Now, with the sandpaper, you need anything around medium grade. Today we're using a 120, and that'll do the job just fine. Now, personally, with my grips, I like a nice flat surface with no diamonds on top, and I choose 3 waffles instead of the stock 4 underneath. It's all got to do with personal preference, and it depends a lot on the size of your hands. Now, the first thing we need to do is get the outside diameter of the grip perfect for the size of your hand. Now, the way we do that is we need to decide if you're going to get rid of 1 row of the waffle, 2 rows of the waffle, completely get rid of all of the waffle, or let's leave it stock. It's completely up to you and dependent on the size of your hand. Now, just remember, when you are measuring your grips up for size, make sure you do it with your gloves on. Right, now I cut the top layer off the long piece first. Once that's gone, then it's time to get rid of the little pieces, which we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 to go. Well, with 1 waffle gone, that's my setup. And if you want more cut off, then obviously just repeat the procedure. Well, now that that's done, the next thing we need to do is start sanding down the grip. Now, when sanding your grip, make sure you don't just grab the sandpaper and rub side to side, trying to get rid of the diamonds. You'll end up with a very uneven surface. Easiest way is just grab the sandpaper and use a nice flowing motion, and you'll end up with a nice even surface area. Now, some people would think that by getting rid of these little diamonds, you actually lose feel of your grip. It's not the case. What you'll find is when you get your glove on, it's a lot tackier. And to me personally, it doesn't matter if we're riding in wet weather conditions or normal dry conditions, it's a much better feel to the grip. Now remember, when you're sanding down the grip, it's pretty simple. Just keep sanding until you can't see the little diamonds anymore. The tricky part is when you're cutting with your Stanley knife, make sure you don't get too aggressive with the Stanley knife and chop too far into your grip, or you'll be having to buy another set. Well, there you go, guys. A nice little easy tip to start the year off with. It's easy to see the difference in the grips from before and after, but it doesn't begin to explain the difference in feel from a rider's perspective. And always remember, getting your grip size right can help minimise blisters and arm pump. Why don't you give it a try? We'll catch you next time.
Be first on Honda's all-new, lighter, faster, fuel-injected CRF 450R. First across the line on the 09 CRF 250R and CRF 150R. Be race ready with your free toolbox.
How much fun can you have on a Honda? This much fun! Ride out on your new Honda Fun Bike and set up camp with a free fun pack. Plus, there's a bonus $400 cashback on the CRF 50 and no application fee on Honda Finance. Hurry, because when they're gone, they've gone.
MXTV is proudly supported by GT Bicycles, Dunlop, Alpine Stars, Pro Circuit, Motul, Scott Goggles, and Suzuki.
This is Chad. Chad's a mechanic. And this is Chad's mechanical tip.
Today we're talking spark plugs, and particularly some common myths and mistakes when dealing with them. Spark plugs are one of the common things blamed when it comes to engine failure and bikes not running as they should. Mostly what we're talking about here is carbon fouling. And you may be surprised to hear that although carbon fouling is a spark plug related failure, it's actually not a spark plug fault. So what's actually happening? Carbon deposits can accumulate along the top of the spark plug, reducing the insulation resistance. As electricity always takes the path of least resistance, the electricity can track along the conductive carbon deposits to the metal shell of the spark plug instead of arcing across the gap, and hence a good spark won't form. That's a misfire, and in simple terms will mean your bike will run poorly or won't start at all. As we said, it's not a spark plug fault, but rather could be caused by clogged air filters or fuel or engine management system problems. The good news in that, however, is that if you do find your spark plugs fouled with carbon buildup, they can actually become an indicator as to how your engine is really operating. Another key area people can go wrong with spark plugs is with installation. Correct tightening is critical to their operation, and that's where people usually make one of two main mistakes. Either they don't tighten their plugs enough, and that can lead to overheating, or more commonly, they tighten them too much, causing the metal shell to shear away from the thread. The key is simply to install them using a torque wrench, and to take care during installation that the correct torque setting is applied. There are different settings for different plugs, so make sure you check the correct specifications first before installation. Always ensure you have the wrench sitting correctly on the plug when tightening to prevent unnecessary damage to your spark plug too. People often get it wrong when it comes to re-gapping their plugs also. Use an appropriate method and a lot of care, especially with fine-tip plugs, which can break very easily. And if you're not confident, it's best to just leave the gap alone. So overall, there's a couple of things to remember. Always ensure your plugs are correctly installed and check them regularly. Also, try to use a top quality brand of spark plug. NGK make a wide range of different plugs to suit practically every bike, and in recent times have developed a range of precious metal spark plugs that provide two major benefits over conventional plugs. The first is a unique design that helps prevent carbon buildup and fouling of your plugs. The second is high ignitability. The design of NGK's special exposed fine-tip center electrode allows a bigger spark compared to regular plugs, making it easier for the fuel-air mix to ignite, and making it easier for you to get on your way when you want to. For more info though, just go to www.ngk.com.au.
Well, I learned a few things about spark plugs that I didn't know, and one place you definitely don't want a spark plug to foul up is the Australian 4-day Enduro. And talking about the Australian 4-day Enduro, we have our Enduro reporter, of course, Dave Robbins with us. Dave, welcome to MXTV, mate.
Thanks for having me, Brendan.
Had much problem with spark plugs in your day?
No, I actually ride my bike rather than let it sit in the shed like you, mate.
All right, thanks, mate. Thanks very much. Joel Smets was a big factor in the Australian 4-day, but so was the dust too, wasn't it?
Back earlier in the year, and obviously down in Victoria, we had no rain at all. Like all the rain was going up northern New South Wales and Brisbane. Yeah. Those guys were riding mud leading up to it, but yeah, we were just so dusty and dry down here.
Certainly was, and we had a lot of international flavour as well. Yep. I think Antonio Mio, yep, out there on the Husqvarna 125 nonetheless as well. I think, what was it, a 140?
I think it was bought out, yeah, it was apparently bought out to like a 144cc, and didn't sound as high pitched as a normal 125, so it definitely had something into it, yeah.
Yeah, let me tell you, everybody I spoke to that went and saw the Australian 4-day were just raving about how he just had that thing pinned everywhere.
Well, his corner speed was unbelievable, and if he didn't crash so much, he probably would have featured a little bit higher in the result.
And of course, Joel Smets, the 4-time world motocross rider, coming out riding for BMW. That's caused quite a bit of a stir with everybody out there. How did you find his riding?
He's so smooth on the bike. I mean, he's not going to be 4-time world champ for nothing. Yeah. And it was the first time the BMW had been on Australian soil and actually raced in something like that. So that was good to see and created a lot of interest. But our Australian guys on the 450s, that they were just, you know, a class above that as well. So
yeah, and I'd imagine that, you know, terrain here is a lot different. We're at home, and I tell you what, we really are starting to produce some great enduro riders, aren't we?
Yeah, we certainly are. And the more international guys we can get out, it only makes our guys here train that little bit harder again. And you know, they don't want to see the trophy going back to wherever it is, Europe or wherever. So yeah, yep,
exactly.
for sure.
Especially those New Zealanders. Now, The other one, mate, Blake Hawke, what a fantastic result for him. I think he finished somewhere around fourth.
Yeah.
Fantastic result for a big fella like him, wasn't it?
He is. I mean, that's his home ground around that area, so he's ridden those tracks, and we've had plenty of Victorian enduros around that area.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, you still got to hang on to it for 4 days, and yeah, he didn't let the pressure come to him when it did, and yeah, he rode very well.
And of course, GHR Honda rider Peter Boyle, fantastic job by him coming in fifth.
Yeah, he did. On the 250, he won the 250 class pretty easily, I think, and no one could believe how laid back he was. Some of the guys at the controls, he'd rock up and he'd have to take his Walkman out of his, sort of iPod thing out. And,
so he could listen to it?
Yeah, he was just cruising along and just enjoyed it for 4 days, and obviously won the class.
Not a bad effort, does it? Go out and just have a trail ride and come back with a trophy.
That's it, not bad at all.
Not too bad. Now, and of course, the old man of the sport, Kirk Hutton, he a fantastic job for him as well, just behind Joel Smets. He's got to be happy with that.
I think he's pretty wrapped, yeah. The last couple of years, Kirk's gone down to the 125 class, or not gone down, but yeah, has ridden the 125 class.
Yep.
And this year, yeah, stepped up a little bit to the 250, and yeah, cleaned up pretty easily, I think. So yeah.
And what do you got to say about Ben Grabham as well? Any inside guy? Because I know he was trying really hard this year, but he did finish a little bit further down the tail down there, didn't he?
Yeah, it's just with those tests. I mean, the way the conditions were, everything chewed out pretty badly, I think, and you could get a clean run through them, or you didn't. It was that dusty, and if you did catch riders, or you could throw it away pretty easily. So. I mean, everyone did well to hang on to it, but Hollis just seemed to do it a little bit better than everyone else.
He certainly did. Now, what was your highlight for the 4 days? Was there any one particular test? Because I know they were running tests forwards and backwards, weren't they?
Yeah, they were. Like in the morning, you'd ride out and then do your trail sections, and then in the afternoon, you'd do the test in reverse. But I was down there, and it didn't look all that exciting really, because we've just one dusty rut all the way around it pretty much. But I mean, everyone had to ride it, and it's the same for everyone. But
yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's what Enduro's all about, mate. It's not motocross, groomed, beautiful tracks, good riding.
Yeah. It's a bit of a shame, because that area is normally beautiful and green, but just the way it was, that you couldn't do anything about it.
Yeah, the dry weather really sort of hampered it a bit, and as you said, there's not much. Now, the final motocross of the day, obviously, it's a big crowd drawer. Yep. Every year we have the Australian 4-day Enduro. It draws a lot of crowd. Everyone was there to watch Joel Smets do well, but there were some people that really pulled out some good ones, wasn't there?
Yeah, well, AJ held off Smets for the final moto, and that was pretty good to see. I mean, if you've got a 4-time world champion hounding you around the track, you're going to be under pressure, but AJ did very well.
And right on the line too, because Joel wasn't letting go either, was he? He was hard at it.
He did let go at the end when he fit that BMW, but yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, that was good. It always does. I mean, you see the guys for 4 days or 3 days, they're out in the bush, and really a lot of people don't get to see them. So the final moto is their chance to display what sort of skills they have when a lot of people do see them.
Mate, it was a great event put on by the Warragul Motorcycle Club. They did a fantastic effort to get it as good as they could, really.
Well, they do a good job, those guys. They did it back in 04, I think it was.
That's right.
Similar sort of area, and they know what to do, and they get the job done.
That's it. Well, Dave, one thing about the dust, although it hampered them the whole 4 days, was it was a great lead-in for the 6th day, wasn't it? It
was pretty much identical conditions, apart from the heat. I mean, over in Greece it was 37, 35 some days. But if you look at some of the photos, exactly the same as what the 4-day was.
Yeah, just
so,
dust everywhere.
Yeah, the guys that learned how to ride the dust and everything back here obviously did well over at the 6th day.
Now, we did say some of the Aussies did quite well, so we caught up with a couple of them straight after the final moto to see what they had to say.
Felt alright coming into the race, and then obviously on day one I crushed my foot and lost a fair bit of time in a special test, but I pushed on, got my foot in my boot each day, and the actual race has been going okay since then, pretty consistent. I didn't really achieve the goals I wanted to. I was hoping for a top 5 in class. I was just off that, but outright I would have liked to be a bit higher, but 14th probably isn't too bad with the field we had, so just try and carry it on into the Nationals and hopefully pick up a bit of speed and get towards the front.
Yeah, well, it actually turned into a 1-day again this year. It was very much my fault this year, though. I drowned my bike in a river. Unfortunately, it was near the end of day 1, so I had a good time until then, but didn't quite make it. Just all about riding, whether it be in the bush or on the track. I just want to, have a lot more time on the bike.
Yeah, I mean, it's always a good thing. I was just a shame that my whole 4-day wasn't like that last final moto, so you know, but it felt good to finish on a good note and finish strong like that. It wasn't so much Joel, it was the fact that last year I had David Knight behind me, exactly the same sort of situation, and I threw it away. So that was running through my mind more than anything. But, you know, when Joel Smets, 5 times world motocross champion, so he knows how to ride, he knows how to push, and he was, for me, he gave me a lot of respect by not trying to take me out or do a move on me. He was trying to find the line, but it was very one line out there, so it worked to my advantage.
I had an awesome run. The final moto wasn't what I planned. I don't think anyone could plan for it. It was, you know, obviously really dusty, and I had a little fall at the start, and I didn't get the best of starts either, and I had a really good buffer for outright, and on AJ, so I just sat back a bit, took my time. It gives me a good confidence boost, and I sort of come here. I knew I could win, but, you know, 4 days is a long time, so you don't really know till the end you get the checkered flag of the final moto. So it's going to be good. AJ rode really good just then, so he's going to be hard to beat the rest of the year, and it's going to be a really good year.
The Green Machine has a new team on Elizabeth Street, the new Peter Stevens City Store, with a complete range of Kawasaki road, trail and sports bikes, plus a crew of dedicated Kawasaki staff on hand to help you. Isn't it time you made the trip into Peter Stevens Kawasaki? You know what to do it quick. Give them a call or check out the website at www.peterstevens.com.au. And remember, normal people go shopping, bike people go to Peter Stevens.
G'day viewers, Factory Matt back for another product review. This week we take a look at these 3 hot new DVDs from Platypus. First up is 2008 Bar to Bar. The Bar to Bar series has been around for ages and it never ceases to provide hours of enjoyment. The 2008 series was even more special because Australia's very own Chad Reed took out the title. The 2-disc set DVD comes with outstanding footage from West Coast Lights, East Coast Lights, East meets West shootout, award show highlights. It has the mindset of a rider and track breakdown. Overall, the 2008 Bar to Bar gives you 144 minutes of super hot, super exciting Supercross action. The next DVD is the Red Bull Last Man Standing, the Battle at Red River. If you're into hardcore motocross and enduro like the Erzberg series, then this is the DVD for you. Each year, thousands of people descend to Bolcher, Texas to see the most outstanding battle on a dirt bike. It covers some of the most brutal terrain known to man. The rumours of this race are true. It's tough, merciless, and it's absolutely fight to the death. And as it says, the winner is the last man standing. It has top riders from Enduro, GNCC and Trails. It has dirt bike stars like David Knight, Jeff Aaron and many others. Watch them tackle the course in what surely is one of the most brutal dirt bike races ever. The last DVD we take a look at is the Red Bull X Fighters Unleashed. This is probably one of the most outstanding FMX DVDs ever to hit the market and a must for all you hardcore freestyle fans. On the grandest FMX stage of them all, we watch the best freestyle riders go head-to-head in an international competition to see who will be crowned the champion. We cover Mexico, Ireland and Spain. It's told through the eyes of X Games gold medalist Ronnie Renner and it's the ultimate in FMX DVDs. It's Unleashed. Well, there you go, guys. Remember, if you want to get your hands on any of these or other great DVDs, give our friends at Platypus a call on 9398 5177. And remember, if it comes from Factory Matt, it's got to be good. It's factory.
Yes, big thanks to Factory Matt Manning there. Now, the Condo 750 is a race that's open for 4-wheel drives, buggies and bikes. And having ran for 20 years now, it's still growing in popularity. Now, this year was no exception. And with hearts pumping and the dirt flying, we're there to check out some of the action.
a big thank you to Grant and all the boys here at Cut Above Productions for that fantastic footage. Well, it's almost time to go, Lee. Time is flying these days, isn't it?
Yes, it is certainly flying, but guess what? We've still got next week to come.
Absolutely. And if you've missed any of these shows and you want to watch them, don't forget, log on to mxtv.com.au and you can download them, and there's heaps of other stuff on there as well. All right, thanks for joining us, Lee. We'll see you next week.
I wouldn't miss it for the world, mate.
Thank you for joining us, and until next time, ride safe.
MXTV was proudly brought to you by Peter Stevens Motorcycles, QBE Insurance, Motorcycle Insurance Specialists, Fox, and Honda, the power of dreams.